Shalom, children. Our story begins today when Yeshua was teaching a very large crowd. Several tax collectors and known sinners in the community had drawn closer to him so they could hear what he was teaching. The Pharisee leaders and sages mumbled, saying, "This man receives sinners and even eats with them." Yeshua heard their murmurings and spoke again about the shepherd who had left his flock of 99 sheep to go looking for one who had gone astray. He told them, "When the shepherd comes back home, he calls all his friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost.'" Yeshua added, "There is the same joy in heaven over one sinner who repents and turns back to Adonai and his Torah." He gave them another example. It is like a woman who had 10 pieces of silver. If she loses one piece of silver, won't she light a lamp and sweep the house searching and searching until she finds it? And when she does, won't she call all her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the piece which I lost"? Yeshua added, "There is joy in the presence of the messengers of Yah over one sinner who repents." Yeshua then told them another parable to illustrate his message even more. He said, "A man had 2 sons. The younger son asked his father to give him his share of his inheritance. So the father divided what he had and gave the son his portion. A few days later, the son gathered everything he had and traveled to a faraway country. He took his inheritance and spent it on all the wrong things. It was quickly used up, leaving the son with no money. A great famine arose in the land, and the man found himself with nothing left over on which to live. He went to a man who dwelt in that country and sold himself as a slave so that he could work for food and accommodation. The man sent him out into his fields to feed the herd of pigs he owned. By now, the son had become so hungry, he contemplated eating the pig's food. Yuck! It was whilst he sat amongst the pigs, he realized that back home, his father's servants had plenty of food, and yet here he was, starving. He decided right then and there he would go back to his father and repent. He would say, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am not worthy to be called your son. But please, would you make me one of your hired servants?" So with his new plan, he set off for home. When the son was some distance away from the house, the father spotted him returning home. He ran out to greet him with great joy and fell on his neck. The son told his father that he had sinned and was not even worthy to be called his son. But the father called for the servants. "Bring my son a new robe," he said. "Put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. Kill the fatted calf, for we will have a great feast. My son was dead, but now he is alive. He was lost, and now is found." But someone wasn't happy about the son returning to the father's house. You see, the older brother had remained faithful the whole time. He had not gone off and wasted all his inheritance like the younger brother. And yet the father had never once killed a fatted calf for him to have a great feast. When the sulking son complained to his father about the situation, the father reasoned, saying, "Son, you have always been with me, and all that I have is yours. It was only right that we make merry. For your brother was dead, and is now alive. He was lost, and is now found." As the sages and the Pharisees listened, I wonder if they recognized themselves in the behavior of the older brother. They too were not very happy when their brothers, the tax collectors and the sinners, repented and turned back to the Father and his Torah. Yeshua's parable is a wonderful story about how the Father shows great mercy towards his children once they realize they have been wasting their inheritance on things that are only temporary. When we hear about someone turning back, or someone starts to follow the path which brings life, the Torah of Adonai, we can remember Yeshua's words from our story today. There is great joy in heaven over one sinner who repents. Well, children, that is the end of our story for today. So we will see you next time for another exciting journey in the life of Yeshua. Shalom.